Curtis, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Curtis Van Der Heyden, co-owner of Grandview Cattle Feeders in southern Alberta, Canada. I'm one of three brothers running the operation up here.
So, Curtis, Grandview Cattle Feeders was the first commercial feed yard in Canada to purchase not one but 3 10-bin CattlePros, actually almost 7 years ago. That'll be 7 years in August. So, looking back 7 years ago, what was the driving force behind the purchase and looking at this?
It was control and accuracy. It came to a point where we needed control, first working with our nutritionist, to be able to control the premix that's coming in, the accuracies in all of our rations through all of our feed yards. The biggest benefit we noticed right off the hop was the accuracy that you guys sold us on, the sales part of it, right? Canadian standards, CFIA allows us to be within a couple % of what the actual scripted ingredients are for your tolerance. We were able to take that from an example of 3% tolerance down to less than 0.5% very consistently. So the cost savings have been huge on the very expensive medicated ingredients, but it's also allowed us to spot feed individual pens that need immediate assistance very timely, rather than getting a bulk premix or something from the large feed mills. We could do it on the fly when we wanted, working with our nutritionists and vet staff.
So after you did this, do you feel like y'all made a really good investment?
Absolutely. The machines have been flawless for, you said it's going on 7 years. You almost don't remember a time not having them.
So would you do it again?
Absolutely.
And if you did, what would you do different this time?
I would build it bigger. When we first got these machines, we looked at it, well, you know, we're only using 6 ingredients from the commercial feed mill. Let's build a 10-bin machine. Let's build a room that fit 8 skids in it to put the machine into. Well, when you start using these machines and the flexibility of it, you know, 6 or 7 ingredients turns into 10 ingredients, turns into the machine behind me, 10-bin machine is completely full, and I've got 2 liquids running on the side. Once you learn the flexibility of this machine, the options are endless, and you know, my next order might be a 12 or 14-bin machine, which I hope you're working on.
So, I know you touched on it a little bit, but what are some of the advantages that y'all have seen since y'all purchased the CattlePro?
The efficiencies is one. It's not just the efficiencies on cost, it's the timeliness of you're making a fresh product immediately to feed to the pens. So there's nothing being stale, there's no environmental impacts of having it sit in a bin, hot, cold, moisture. Everything's controlled right here. Yeah, it's, you know, it's a very clean system. It cuts out the middleman, and I shouldn't. The middleman being the feed mill. When you're able to control everything yourself, you're not paying someone else for the medicated ingredients to buy and put in your own location. We're still working with our nutritionists, with our feed mill that we used to buy the mash from to make our trace minerals, right? Someone's still making and supplying the limestone product. But everything in the middle, the batching, we're saving the cost on the batching by doing it ourselves rather than paying someone else to do it and then deliver a very bulky product with, you know, extra carriers that we don't necessarily need in the ration.
So I'm just asking, can you say, do you think y'all could see a definite increase in performance on your cattle when you went to the CattlePro? Have you been able to, I mean, the end goal of the cattle feeder is to feed the same ration every day and take the peaks and valleys out of that feeding program.
Yeah, it's hard to sit here and say I've seen this exact point in conversions in anything like that, because every year there's different weather, there's different cattle. But when we look back on our overall feed costs, right, so you do the cost of the same production, those feed costs are drastically lower. So performance has not dropped, performance has increased. There could be a wide range of reasons why that's increased, but our cost to produce those pounds has dropped. And I would largely equate that to having these machines. There is a cost savings on the health side. I had mentioned earlier the ability to spot treat pens. You know, if you've got an outbreak of something in a pen and you can deal with it today versus tomorrow when a mash is delivered, you may not see that necessarily on a performance standpoint, but you do know that one day's savings on feed costs you $5 a day to feed every animal in a pen. If you can retain some of those savings because you're medicating it properly, well, you can say you've saved, you know, $2,000–3,000 on that pen today because you're able to target it immediately. So yeah, to say I can tell you that the machine has offered a strict performance benefit, probably not accurately, but when you add on all the individual things that happen every day and the flexibility, that's where we see the biggest cost savings.
Last but not least, we've talked about it before, what about every feed yard, especially if they're out in the middle of nowhere, the biggest concern is support. What can you say about the support?
Support is phenomenal. We had the discussion earlier this morning. Football is a huge sport in the U.S. We phoned on a weekend during a football game, and there was a 15-minute pause while the laptop was fired up to support us to make sure we kept going. Any hardware issues, except for the time of shipping, right? There's always a shipping delay. Everything has been very immediate. Any issues we have, they're dealt with extremely quick. If it's something that can be sourced locally, we've had the flexibility to source it locally, work with local millwrights, JPR, to fix the problems for us. The machines are very simple to work on. I've got a lot of my staff, they're here on temporary foreign work permits. There's a language barrier, there's process barriers. Most of these guys can sit here and work on this machine because they know how to loosen a bolt. They know the mechanics behind something very simple. That's what I really like about this machine. If we don't know the answer, we can put it off to somebody else where it's responded to very quickly. But most often we can maintain these machines very effectively ourselves. Yeah, there's a huge benefit to that.
Curtis, thank you for your time.
Yeah, you bet.